Okay, so are you ready to have your mind blown? Because today we're talking about something that might just change how you look at your next bottle of lotion.
Yeah, it's not the most glamorous job, but trust
Okay.
me, it's way more interesting than you think.
We're diving into the world of fat purification workers using this RoleCatcher career guide we found. It's got all the inside information about this like super niche job.
It's heavily niche,
Yeah.
but also essential to so many industries. I mean, think about it. Food, cosmetics, even pharmaceuticals, none of them would be the same without these skilled workers.
It's true. I never really thought about it that way. So like imagine you're reaching for that fancy lotion and it hits you. A fat purification worker made that happen.
And we're not just talking about any lotion. We're talking like making sure those shea nut fats are absolutely perfect before they even get close to becoming a beauty product.
Okay, so before we get into like the specifics of the job itself, I have to ask, what's the deal with these acidulation tanks? The guide mentions them and they sound kind of intense.
Acidulation tanks sounds more like a heavy metal band name than a piece of equipment, right? But really, it's a whole process. Fat purification workers use these tanks and other specialized machines to get rid of any impurities in oils.
So it's like giving those fats a serious makeover.
Exactly. And it's not just about like checking boxes for industry standards either. There's a huge push for all natural products and sustainability now. So the need for skilled fat purification workers is only going up.
So this isn't just some random job, it's a career that's in high demand. Tell me more.
It is. It's definitely hands-on. The guide mentions it's an industrial setting, so we're talking about working with chemicals, heavy machinery, the whole 9 yards. Safety is definitely a top priority.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's not a job for someone who's afraid of getting their hands dirty.
You got it.
Yeah.
It can be physically demanding, and let's just say there might be some interesting smells. But there's a big payoff. Good money, real chances to move up in your career.
Wait, there's more? The guide even says you could end up being your own boss. Who knew that purifying fats could be your path to entrepreneurial freedom?
It's true. These niche fields can lead to some unexpected opportunities. People don't always realize how many products rely on this kind of work.
Okay, you've got me hooked. Now I need to know, what does it actually take to become a fat purification worker? Is there a degree for that?
You're probably not going to find applied fat studies in any course catalog.
Darn.
But hey, a high school diploma is usually all you need to get started, though vocational training or a technical certificate can give you a leg up.
Good thing I paid attention in shop class.
Never know when those skills will come in handy. The guide stresses that being good with your hands, having an eye for detail, and knowing how to solve problems are like non-negotiables for this kind of work.
Right. You're dealing with complicated machinery, and the final product depends on you being precise and skilled. But it's not all just technical stuff, right? What about the people side of the job?
You've hit on something really important. The guide actually gets into the career path, and it's not what you might expect. It's not like you just climb a ladder. It's more about getting experience and figuring out what parts of the purification process you're best at.
Oh, so it's like there are levels of fat purification expertise?
Kind of. You might start as an assistant, learning the ropes from more experienced workers. Then you work your way up to running your own equipment, maybe even taking charge of the whole process for a specific product.
Wow, so you could go from acidulation tank newbie to like fat purification master? I'm picturing someone in a lab coat surrounded by these like bubbling vats of oil.
You're not too far off. The guide even have this example profile of an entry-level worker. It shows how someone with the right skills and the drive can really build a career out of this.
I like that they get into those details. It makes it feel real. But, it makes you wonder, we've been talking about acidulation tanks this whole time, but is that what they use for all fats?
That's a great question. Acidulation is pretty common, especially with certain oils. But it's not the only way. Remember those cosmetics we were talking about? They might use something called solvent extraction to get those fats super clean.
So different fats, different methods, different products. This is way more complicated than I thought it would be.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so interesting. Each method has its own little quirks, and a good fat purification worker needs to know those differences to get the best results.
Okay, so now I'm seeing these workers as like the unsung heroes of the product world. They're the ones making sure our olive oil is actually, olive oil and not something weird.
Exactly. It's not just about avoiding the weird stuff, though. It's about quality, making sure it's all consistent and that the things we're using every day are safe and actually work, like that shea butter lotion.
Oh, yeah. Now I can't look at it the same way.
They're like the guardians of good fats.
Love it. But seriously, this whole deep dive has got me thinking. Like, I never stop to think about all the work that goes into making the stuff I use every day.
Yeah, it's easy to forget about the whole production side of things, right?
Yeah.
But when you actually look at what goes on, it's amazing how much skill and creativity goes into each step. And the
For
fat
sure.
purification workers are right there in the middle of it all, making sure those fats are top-notch.
So this RoleCatcher guide, it's not just for people who want to be fat purification workers, is it? It's like a peek behind the curtain of an industry most people don't even know about.
Exactly. It's a good reminder that even in our super high-tech world, there are still jobs that need that human touch, someone who pays attention to detail and maybe has a strong stomach.
Speaking of which, the guide did mention that nailing the interview is super important for this line of work.
For sure. It's not just about having the skills on paper. You have to be able to talk about what you know, why you're passionate about it, and especially how important safety is.
That makes sense. You're working with stuff that could be dangerous. So safety is key. It's like, show me you can handle these fats or don't let the acidulation tank hit you on the way out.
Maybe not that last part.
Yeah,
But yeah, you get the idea.
totally. So besides the whole safety thing, what else should someone keep in mind if they're thinking about a career in fat purification?
They really emphasize those key skills in the guide. Mechanical aptitude, attention to detail, and of course problem solving.
Hmm.
But there's something else that's just as important.
Is it a love of all things fat?
Well, being passionate about the work is always a good thing. But I was thinking more about being dedicated to quality.
Yeah, like you're not just pushing buttons, you're actually part of making something that people use every single day.
Exactly. And that's something that anyone who wants to work in this field should be ready to talk about in an interview.
Right. It's about showing how your skills make a difference for the people who are buying those products.
Right. And never underestimate just being enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
If you love the work, it shows. And that makes you stand out.
Enthusiasm, safety, expertise. It's like the magic formula for fat purification.
And maybe a little sense of humor helps too,
Mhm.
to keep things light when you're around those acidulation tanks all day.
Yeah, true. But seriously, this deep dive has been eye-opening. I had no idea how much I didn't know about this whole industry. It's amazing how we don't even think twice about what goes into a bottle of olive oil.
It's that whole out of sight, out of mind thing, right?
Right.
We only see the final product, not all the people and work that went into it.
Totally. So for someone listening who's like fat purification workers, what's that? What's the most important thing for them to take away from all of this?
Well, practically speaking, it's about recognizing that even with all the technology we have now, some jobs still need a human touch, someone who pays attention to the details and understands these sometimes really complex processes.
It's like a reminder that there are skilled people behind every product, making sure it's good quality and safe to use.
Exactly. And on a deeper level, I think checking out these unusual jobs can get you thinking differently, even about your own career path.
It's so easy to get stuck on those traditional career paths, but there's a whole world of cool and rewarding jobs out there if you're willing to look for them.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe someone listening will hear this and think, hey, maybe I want to work with acidulation tanks.
Maybe they'll be the ones making sure those high-quality oils end up in our kitchens.
There you go. It's about being open to new things and realizing that all jobs have value, even the ones we don't always see or think about.
Well said. This has been a fascinating deep dive. I feel like I learned a ton about something I knew absolutely nothing about before.
Me too. It's always fun to explore these hidden parts of the working world.
And with that, we'll leave our listeners with this thought. Next time you're at the grocery store or looking at skincare products, just take a second to appreciate everything that went into getting those products there.
Because behind every ingredient list on every bottle, there's a whole team of people, including those awesome fat purification workers making it all happen.
And that's something worth thinking about. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
It was great being here. Until next time.